Hey there and welcome, my name is Wendy, welcome to my channel. I'm doing a second in a series video on wardrobes, and this is for teenagers. My last one was for children between the ages of 4 and 5 to 11 or 12, and this one is for older kids. Kids that are starting to develop their own opinions, their ideas, they have preferences and likes and dislikes, and how do you navigate the conversations and make their room still be simple that you can all manage it, but still allow them to be their own people. So I think my kids have some understanding about minimalism, but I'm not quite sure what exactly. So I thought that what I could add to this video to make it valuable for you is a small interview that I will do with my 15-year-old daughter, my 17-year-old son, and my 40-something-year-old husband, and just get an idea of what their understanding is of what I'm doing and why we do it, as just a way for you to possibly see where your family might be coming from when you're discussing these things with them. But for now, I want to talk about how it works, how I keep things simplified in my kids' wardrobes, and how we don't get into arguments all the time. So when I started this, the children were a bit smaller, 5 or 6 years ago, and now they've developed and they've got a lot stronger opinions about how they keep their things and what they choose to keep and how much they want me involved. But there's still that element of needing to be the parent. They still live in this house. They live under this roof, they're under my care, and I also see it as an opportunity for me to be able to still teach them. And it's not like I sit and lord over them or anything, it's a walk alongside. It's much more relational at this stage in their development, and I love this side of it, but it can be quite challenging when our opinions differ. At this stage in their life, they're starting to earn their own money, they buy their own clothing at times, they know what they want, and there's certain things they will not buy, and so there is a case of, yes, it's fully up to them, but then again, a lot of the things that we have to buy, I buy. I always say the fact remains they haven't grown and gone quite yet. So yep, they have their own money, but predominantly 90% of their clothing comes from us, even down to their undergarments and socks. And this brings me to the core issue of what I want to address when you're dealing with older children within your home and how to keep their clothing minimal. Minimalism started for me when I was burnt out and we were physically and financially sick. So we took drastic measures back then to pare back and work out what we thought were essentials and must-haves, and we took a long hard look at what we really needed in life, and lots had to change. And here we are years later, and my belief still remains the same. Nothing has changed. I am 100% committed to living a life within the resources that I have, and I can teach my child this whether they own 10 pairs of jeans or 2 pairs of jeans, and here's why. The question is, can they afford them? Because that's how we all get into trouble. That's how I got into trouble, by buying things that I couldn't afford. Because society kind of implies that we should have them, that we need them, so we get them even if we can't afford them. And that is the pattern that I'm really desperately trying to break. Now, the way that we have chosen to show them that they have a choice is by putting them on a spending allowance for their clothing. This is how they're going to learn to live within their means. They're going to have to learn to choose what they can afford and what they can't. Maybe it's going to be learning to shop the sales. Maybe they're going to have to say no to some things, but they're especially going to learn that when the money's gone, it's gone, and they'll still live. My job as a mother was to set the limit on what the finance was available to them for their clothing and then make them stick to it. Now, some kids love clothing. They're going to struggle with this, and other kids could care less. And I've chosen to keep it exactly the same regardless of what personality I've got in my children, because the one who doesn't like shopping still needs to buy clothes, and the other one who loves to shop needs to learn the limits. So what we did was we changed the focus of our energy from keeping their clothing minimal to just keeping the budget limited, because the bottom line was that I wanted them to have clothing that they really loved and that they were wearing all the time, and I didn't want to be spending money on things that they didn't need. I absolutely made sure that they had all the essentials, undergarments and socks and uniforms. That was a given. That wasn't included in the money that they were given on an allowance basis. But the rest of the money that they were given in their allowance was purely personal preference. They're learning about shopping sales, choosing what they really want and need, and most of all, they're learning that when the money's gone, it's gone. It is a finite resource. So now all I do is make sure that their room is picked up regularly. I make sure that there's clothing that is no longer being worn, that it gets rid of. Things that they really need for their day-to-day life they actually have, make sure that they've not run out of things, and I just make sure that their bedroom isn't becoming too overwhelming and that they're not finding it difficult keeping on top of what they actually have, sorting laundry, finding places for things. It's still my job to kind of manage it with them. So all I do with them is the same thing I did when they were younger. We pile everything up, or maybe I stand next to the drawers and I start pulling out things one by one, or we stand at her wardrobe and I pull it off and say, are you still wearing this? Does it fit you? Why aren't you wearing it? Should we give it away? She might tell me there's a big rip in it and no one's going to want it, so it gets binned. And it's exactly the same process as when they're small, but it's just they've got a lot more autonomy now, and you're speaking to young people and you don't want to be talking down to them or babying them. It's a case of, how can I help you? We'll just get this sorted so it makes it simpler for you for laundry during the week and for tidying your room, and we don't want things around that we're not using anymore. One of my biggest encouragements is just trusting that you don't have to fight about clothing, and you can have so much cool discussion with them about debt, about savings, about belongings, what you can afford, what you can't afford, how to manage their money. It all starts moving into this area of they're growing and they're going to be responsible for this completely by themselves in a few years to come. I also wanted to mention just a wee word about spouses, partners that are completely grown and responsible for their own clothing. So my husband was pretty much all in from the beginning, and he helped me declutter quite a bit of stuff. He was on board as much as the kids were. He helped me work out what we needed and what we could get rid of. What really helped was that my husband was a reader. So I had the book on Kindle, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I literally highlighted the bullet points and I said, this is what I need you to do. And I remember getting rid of 2 trailer loads of old tools, old furniture, boxes of things, wood. I did help him in some ways when we got to areas like camping gear or sports gear, and he wasn't quite sure what we needed to get rid of, but he was wholeheartedly on board with the fact that we needed to reduce the stress around us and get rid of some of this stuff and start simplifying things. But in all honesty, if your partner is not on board, there's not a lot you can do about it. They will have their areas of cluttered stuff. Their wardrobe may remain overly stocked, but there's not much you can do if they don't want to get rid of things. So as I promised, I'm going to have the added bonus of showing you what my family think about minimalism. So I'm going to ask them a few questions and just see what their answers are. And it could be quite funny, it could be quite boring, it could be something that I've never heard before. So I'll show you that now. So we just kind of went through Emma's clothing. How long did it take us? 10 minutes. And
I have no clothing now. I'm kidding.
So it's kind of your choice.
Yeah.
Because there's like a pile that's this high of clothing that you've given away. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
That you don't want. That's either, what would be your reasons for getting rid of them?
Either too small, don't like them anymore, or they don't fit right.
Right. And
Or
you
look right.
feel like the clothes that you've got are still, like you've still got jeans and jerseys, you've still got plenty.
Yep.
You've got enough, but she's also got ideas of what she would like to buy next. We do realise that you've got far more drawers than you need.
Yeah.
What do you understand about minimalism when I mention it?
Minimalism, don't know what that means.
You don't? What do you think about how I get you to manage your clothing? What do you think I want?
You want me to make sure that I look after my clothing, so
Yes.
that they're not piled on my floor getting dirty or rumpled.
Yes.
That I'm making sure I can see everything,
Yeah.
I can use everything,
Yes.
and that I'm not wasting my money on stuff that I know I won't wear. Is that good?
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I want you to be doing.
Cool.
Do you think you waste your money on stuff you don't wear?
Every now and again, yeah.
And do you try not to do that?
Now I do, yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually because I'm in a rush, so I'm like, gotta get something.
So you buy something and then you don't
Regret it.
really. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And you don't think that you have too little? You'd like more? Or do you think that you have enough?
I have enough for now.
But you kind of like clothes, right? Like clothes is a little bit of your thing.
Yeah.
You enjoy shopping for clothes.
Yes.
And if you had more money, you would definitely buy more clothes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Okay, yeah, that's what Emma thinks about minimalism.
Cool.
She doesn't know what it is.
Mamma mia, mamma mia.
Okay, so I'm introducing...
I'm introducing my son, my loving, amazing son, who is so good at everything. His name's Regan Maloney. Alright, I was actually talking about this the other day, right?
So I asked this guy a few days ago to be okay with me recording, asking him some questions, and he said, why would you want to talk to me about minimalism? I'm not short. And I thought that was hilarious because it shows exactly that he doesn't really know initially what minimalism was about. But I think that if I push him a bit more, he probably does know a lot more than he thinks. So Regan, thank you for taking some questions with me.
Oh, so
I wanted to ask you about clothing. I do a clothing system with you. I give you a clothing allowance, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so you guys can buy whatever you want within a certain budget. And
Yes.
when I need to go through clothing with you, we kind of sort out your clothing together in your room.
It's mainly you though. I just kind of do yes, no to all the clothing that you.
Yeah, recently we realised you're out of t-shirts. You've grown out of quite a few of them and you need a few more, that you're going to go grab a shirt and you don't have any. So we need to do something about that. Do you think there's any particular system I follow, or do you think that there's anything different from what we do than what other people do?
I can't compare us to other people. Whenever we're like, oh, I need new clothes, we'll go get new clothes.
Yeah.
So we don't really have a system, it's just whatever suits at the time. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, there's no pattern. It's not like every 4 weeks we will sort your clothes and fix them. It's not like that. It's just
as you need them, we go get them.
We just pick a day and we just go, alright, so tomorrow we're going to just...
Go get some summer clothing or go get some...
No, tomorrow we're just going to sort out the cloths in your drawer kind of thing. Whereas,
yeah.
And the same thing goes for buying clothes, I guess, as well. So sure, yeah.
And you would say that you are clothing... Do you like clothing? Do you like clothes shopping?
No.
No. I would say that you don't have expensive taste.
I'm not a brand person.
No.
I don't really care.
You're very practical.
Apparently I'm supposed to go for branding, though.
Are you?
Apparently
To go for label clothing.
label clothing,
It's a
Supreme.
new thing.
Um,
You mean like Champion or Supreme, something like that?
yeah,
Right.
apparently.
And do you buy
Yeah.
into that, or do you think that...
It'll get old eventually. Okay.
Sit up. It looks like you're shorter than me, and you're not. You're taller than me.
But then my head's cut out of the video. So now it's going to be awkward to cut out.
But it's not. It's fine.
Okay.
What else did I want to ask you? So with minimalism,
Yes.
you tell me if this is what we do.
Okay.
With minimalism, we buy what we need.
Yep.
We give away what we don't, so that we're not having to deal with it all the time.
Yes.
And we don't buy things that we can't afford.
That is true.
And we keep things that we're using all the time because we like wearing them.
That's what most people do with nice clothes.
You think?
You have clothes that you like, you would not get rid of them.
Yeah, but you don't hold on to things just because.
Yeah.
You would
No,
agree?
I think I'm a hoarder. Oh, okay, so I'm not a hoarder.
Don't say what I want you to say. I want you to say what's honest. You do have an issue about keeping things just in case.
See my room, man.
Yes, that is
Yu-Gi-Oh
true.
Cards, Pokemon
Yes.
cards, Bakugan. It's full of all those little kids' collectibles.
So you've got all these, he's got 2 boxes underneath his bed, and it's got Nerf guns, marbles,
All the marbles. Like mine.
Lego, and you've got...
It's just a stash of all those old kids' toys.
Every time I try to get rid of them, you say...
Definitely not those.
Your plastic dinosaurs?
Oh, yeah.
Your Bionicles?
Yes. You can't get rid of those.
Yes. So those are the things that I try to get rid of, but you like to keep them, right?
Yes.
And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think, yes.
I am okay with it because it's kind of contained and under your bed, and it's not like I'm standing on Lego all the time. Okay.
Good chat.
Good talk, Regan.
Mm.
And that's my chat with Regan. Okay, so
Okay.
James, I wanted to ask you a few questions about minimalism.
Righto.
What I wanted to ask you was about clothing.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time we pulled out all the clothing in your wardrobe. You might not remember the
I
actual.
remember that. Yep.
And started going through things.
Yes.
How did it feel for you? Like what was it? What did you think?
Just how, again, like everything, how difficult it is to make the decision to get rid of stuff you don't really need and haven't worn in decades. Because some stuff I was hanging on to from literally a decade or more that I've never worn, but I still struggled to physically let go.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I might wear this thing, which
Yes.
I haven't worn in 10 years.
Yes. And there were things that you had held on to that you thought might look good, but in actual fact we worked out you didn't really like wearing it.
No.
And so we just got rid of it altogether, and it just became not something that you needed to think about anymore. So how do you think you do in the wardrobe department now? Do you think that you've accumulated your stuff back, or do you think it's something it's something that you still implement for yourself, or is it just driven by me?
I try to get rid of things as I buy something new to get rid of something old.
Yeah. And that usually is the case for you and I.
Yeah.
Like, it's when our jeans wear out, we go buy new jeans. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's still a few things I think I've accumulated and might be due to go through again. I think the way I work is we'll probably have to do this every couple of years anyway. There'd be stuff I just try to cling to that I shouldn't. Like I can think of a suit that I'm never going to wear again.
Yes.
That I've still got sitting in the wardrobe, and I've got a new suit that I wear all the time. I will never touch that old one.
But that new suit's quite recent.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a case of like, oh, that's right, I've got to get rid of that old thing. Yeah. I think that was all I needed to ask you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
So I hope that this video has helped you. This is exactly how I do it with my teenagers now. If I've missed something or you've got any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I'd love to start a dialogue with you. And if you want to know when the next video comes available, please hit subscribe. But until next time, bye for now.